Inference Plus Story Short Number 5, Series A. It had already been the longest morning ever, and it was only 7:35 a.m. It was Connie's 10th year teaching, but her first year at Overland High School. To describe the experience at Overland as different from her last school would be an understatement. She wasn't certain if it was the move from senior English to freshman that led to the dramatic increase in poor behavior, or if it was a cultural norm at Overland to behave like feral donkeys. Whatever the reason, her students were, to put it charitably, unruly. More to the point, they were jerks. Most days, the sole bright spot of hope in Connie's life was her 24-ounce insulated tumbler of coffee. She needed the caffeine, and more than once a well-timed slurp from her mug had given her the extra few seconds she needed to stifle a string of profanity that would have cost her her job. That's why the empty mug in front of her was nothing short of a catastrophe. She had to find a way to fill it before the students arrived, but how? The counseling office coffee was more or less a sludge consisting of years of buildup, and her GI tract had not yet acclimated to the bacteria of the shared pot. To drink from it would be an invitation to Poop Town. The English department Keurig was an option, but the water reservoir was in a perpetual state of calcified emptiness, and none of her broke colleagues would be willing to give away a $1 K-cup. There was only one viable option: the main office. Principal Dane's secretary brewed a fresh pot for him every morning. If Donna's meticulous attention to the minor details of filing and bookkeeping were any indicator, that pot of coffee was nothing short of perfection. And if Principal Dane's hyperactive all-day enthusiasm was any indicator, the coffee in that pot was nothing short of jet fuel. The staff joked that he hadn't stopped pacing since sometime in 2002, and his lack of the concept of an indoor voice was the stuff of legend. Principal Dane was always saying how the staff was a family, and Connie reasoned that family members would be happy to share their coffee. Her decision was made. Connie self-consciously crept into the administrator's dining room. She winced when she saw Principal Dane standing there, topping off his own mug with coffee. "Oh, sorry, excuse me," Connie mumbled, turning to go. "Wait," Principal Dane boomed. "You came in here for something. What can I do you for?" Connie hesitated. "Coffee," she finally blurted. "I'm dying. I need coffee." "No worries, friend," Principal Dane laughed, grabbing her cup and filling it to the brim. "This ought to do the trick. Keeps me buzzing all morning and regular as a Swiss Army watch." "I appreciate it," Connie said as she carried the brimming cup with her. As she passed Donna's desk, Donna raised her eyebrows and smiled. Connie wasn't sure if she should interpret it as a shared confidence or a subtle reprimand. It didn't matter. Connie had coffee. She would survive another day in the trenches. First hour. Heedless of the scalding temperature, Connie downed the coffee in record time. "Thank goodness I'm caffeinated," she thought, because these kids are more obnoxious than a smoke detector with a low battery today. Matthew was clicking and clicking and clicking his retractable pen just like every other day, but today it was particularly annoying. Connie marched over, snatched the pen from Matthew's hand, threw it into the trash can, and replaced it with a pencil. The stunned boy just stared at her. "You're on my last nerve," she snarled. "Somebody's moody today," the boy whispered under his breath. Connie stifled her rage as the first twinges of a headache began to claw at her temples. Third hour. "Why do you have to be so freaking loud?" Connie yelled. The twinges of headache pain had become a full-blown migraine. The startled teenagers stared back at her. "Sorry, Miss Martin," Emily piped up helpfully. "We'll stack the papers more quietly next time." Connie was exhausted. The bass drum of the headache matched the beating of her heart. She willed her heart to stop just for a minute, just long enough to give her a momentary respite. What was wrong with her? Was she coming down with the flu? She was out of sick days. What would she do if it was the flu? "I'll just close my eyes for a minute," she thought, "just long enough to get a break from the lights in here." The students' voices pierced her brain like dozens of rusty thumbtacks. She poured Excedrin directly from a bottle into her mouth and swallowed them dry. She closed her eyes again. Just for a minute, she told herself. The dismissal bell rang with an ear-splitting wail, bolting Connie upright. The students were laughing and filing out into the crowded hallway. Good Lord, the noise, the noise! Her brain burned with the fire of 1,000 suns. Why didn't you wake me up? Connie demanded of the retreating teens. My dad says you shouldn't poke a bear, Blake said. You were mean today, Maria said. We decided it would be best just to leave you alone. Don't worry, we just watched TikTok. Nobody did anything bad this time. Maybe I should sleep through class more often, Connie thought. Connie dragged herself through the office towards the parking lot. What a miserable day. All she wanted to do was go home and pray it wasn't the flu. You look awful, Donna said. Rough day? I'm exhausted. My head is pounding. I'm scared it's the flu, Connie replied. Was Dane's coffee the only coffee you had this morning? Donna asked. Yeah, why? Connie replied. I forget you're new here, Donna said. I make that coffee just for Principal Dane. He has a lot of natural energy. You're welcome to it, of course, but most of the staff isn't a big fan. Just something to know for next time. I suspect you'll feel better tomorrow. Don't forget your thermos.